So, best rivalries in the SEC. We know that traditionally the Iron Bowl has taken that mantle as the best game. And I think most people would say that the Egg Bowl is second. There's some that even prefer the Egg Bowl. Like they like the vitriol, etc., etc. But what about now? Now that Oklahoma and Texas have come into the Southeastern Conference, where does Red River rank? Does that become the best rivalry game in the SEC, or is the Iron Bowl still number one?
This probably isn't fair, but I saw the rankings that put Red River number one, and I rolled my eyes for a few reasons. I know this is dumb, but I think the best rivalry has to be at the end of the year.
Agreed.
Got to be at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't immediately take the place for number one rivalry in the SEC until you've played it as an SEC team. How many Iron Bowls, the outcome was team went to Atlanta to play for the SEC championship. That was what was on the line. That's why the win was so big. When you've got 8 games after, and none of those results directly impacted the SEC, you can't jump right into the SEC's best rivalry. You got to have some history first before you become the best. The whole point of a rivalry is steeped in tradition. You can't just snap your fingers and become one.
So does that mean that Red River is at best fourth?
I would hear that argument.
Right now, Texas's biggest rival is not Oklahoma. Now that A&M is back, that is Texas's biggest rival.
So you would go Iron Bowl 1, Egg Bowl 2, Texas A&M 3.
Let me think. All
right, let me give you some other games to think about that probably need to be part of this list.
Tennessee, Alabama,
Auburn, Florida, Georgia. Auburn, Georgia, as you just mentioned. Alabama, LSU has become one.
It is one now.
Yeah, LSU, Alabama's on the list.
Maybe Florida, LSU.
And they just play each other every year. It's no different than State Kentucky. I mean, they have bigger stakes, but there's not a whole lot. I don't think Florida LSU fans are just like, God, I hate LSU.
I don't know. There have been some big games.
There have been some big
weird
games
in that series.
I think that game used to be.
It got ratcheted up because of the hurricane stuff.
I think that game used to be what Alabama LSU is now.
Okay.
So outside of that, I mean.
Kentucky, Tennessee?
No. Good rivalry game, don't get me wrong, but no. Ole Miss LSU. A lot of history there.
I
think it should be on the list.
I mean, it's not the top 5, but it could be top 10.
Arkansas, Texas.
That's another one. Arkansas is not Texas's biggest rival, but
I refuse to recognize Arkansas. Yeah, I'm sorry. I refuse to recognize Arkansas LSU as a rivalry.
They got a great trophy. He'll kill you if it falls on you, though.
Yeah.
Well, Arkansas has 2 rivalry games that aren't really rivalry games. Arkansas LSU and Arkansas Missouri, the battle line, yeah. I think if you ask Arkansas fans, they would probably go Texas. They might go Ole Miss second. Arkansas and Ole Miss have played each other for years. They played each other back in the day.
Yeah, but there's some inferiority complex that doesn't allow them to recognize that Ole Miss is a big enough
if we can get them in a moment of honesty, we get them on the shine.
The shine?
The shine. Them corn squeezins. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, yes.
Okay.
I am fully aware of the substance about which you're referring.
Hey, you ever had a not the stuff they make now either. Talking about, you ever had the real stuff?
No.
Ever had a sip?
Mm-mm. Does it burn a little?
It burns. Yes, it does. You'll talk like this for a minute.
Does it burn a lot?
Woo! I took a sip and I was like, I'm good. I am good. Anywho,
May I ask the occasion on which you sipped?
we were just hanging out. Somebody had some, like my granddad brewed that. You want to taste it? It's like, sure. We will not reveal the names to protect.
No,
the
no,
innocent.
I wasn't asking you to reveal names. So it was something that had been like locally brewed by a family member.
Yeah. Friends.
I don't even know
granddad.
if brewed is the right word. Distilled. Maybe?
Distilled. Yeah. Not triple distilled or anything like that either. Just plain old distilled.
Like in a shed out behind.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so real stuff.
Yeah, it was real. Okay. If that wasn't real, I don't want to taste the real stuff.
Tennessee or Mississippi?
Here in Mississippi, in Vicksburg,
Okay.
back in my high school days.
Okay. All right, so rank them. Is Iron Bowl 1?
Yes, it's got to be. Yes,
Is Egg Bowl 2?
yes. And then 3 is A&M Texas. I think. I really do think it is.
Okay.
4 might be Georgia. It's Georgia, Florida.
Okay.
And then 5.
I mean, Texas, Oklahoma is a pretty big
It's
deal.
huge, but I mean, is it bigger than the games I just mentioned?
And they can work their way up over time.
I can never put a rivalry game, by the way, that's two teams that aren't in the same state ahead of. It just can't be. Because if you're a Texas fan and you live in Dallas, how many Oklahoma fans do you see in a day? Probably not as many, right? But you probably see A&M fans everywhere.
But are you kind of considering Georgia and Florida the same state? Like North Florida is the same thing as South
It's the
Georgia?
same thing. Yeah, it's one state. Well, also, I had them 4th.
There's 3 different Floridas.
I mean, how many in-state rivalries are there? I mean, if we're counting Tennessee, Vanderbilt, there's 4, right?
You got Tennessee, Vandy, Ole Miss, Mississippi State,
Alabama,
Alabama,
and Texas A&M.
Yes.
All right. You have Florida State, but that's not an SEC rivalry. That's just
Right.
a rivalry.
You got Clemson, South
Clemson,
Carolina.
Louisville,
Sure.
Kentucky, so on and so forth.
Yes.
So, yeah. And Tennessee, Vanderbilt's not going to be
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech. So, Georgia, Florida, and then I'll go Oklahoma, Texas 5th.
I would accept either spot you wanted to rank those 2 games. Like if you wanted to,
If I switched them,
if you wanted to go Red River 4 and Cocktail Party 5,
Yeah.
fine. If you want to go Cocktail Party Red River,
Yeah.
I'm good with that too.
so that's our official listings. I'll get Will Lees to make a graphic. We'll tweet it out.
Okay. A lot of Shine now is fruit flavored, but the old stuff would take your breath away. You mix Moonshine with 7-Up.
You weren't on the you weren't downstairs last year when Borky was, though, when those girls came down through media days, handing out little mason jars of moonshine from some local Nashville brewery or something.
And we asked HR.
I just remember, like, these girls came. These girls were, you know that song by Confederate Railroad, little on the trashy side.
Mm-hmm.
That's what these girls were. And Borky and I were like, who are these women? And they hand us this thing like, y'all come to this party tonight we're having. It's being put on at whatever. It's like Clay Travis invites you. Okay. Now we get it. We understand now.
Yeah, we
But
called.
they were handing out moonshine. I brought some home to Jennifer.
Yeah, it was awful.
She said it was terrible. I didn't drink it.
It was really bad.
Yeah.
No, we called the official legal counsel and HR of Sports Talk Mississippi if we could drink it on air, and she said, "Don't do that."
Yeah, she did. She did say that. We did reach out. When we went through the proper channels.
It was like, I don't think it's illegal, but don't do that.
All these media guys and khakis and polos, and here come these women in Daisy Dukes and tank tops handing out moonshine. I'm like, what is this place?
Jeez. Did you later partake of it after you weren't on the air?
I did not. No, I brought it home. I let my wife take it to a girls' trip with her friends, and they said it was awful.
Good to know.
Yeah, don't drink it.
Good to know.